What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to the Down South Sports channel. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Guys, if you're new, do me a huge solid and hit that subscribe button. Free of cost, but it helps, motivate me to keep making these videos for you guys. So appreciate the support. So the rumors we'd all been hearing were confirmed today. Here's what Shams Charania had to say today on the Pat McAfee Show.
You know about the KD situation, and where do we stand right now?
The Kevin Durant situation is ever since the NBA trade deadline, I think everyone around the league understood this is someone that's going to likely be on the move. And I'm told the Suns, Kevin Durant's business representative and boardroom CEO, Rich Kleiman, they're working on his trade as we speak. The teams that are mainly featured right now that have interest in Kevin Durant to trade for him, this is ongoing interest, and I think this is the focus right now. It's the Houston Rockets, the San Antonio Spurs, the Miami Heat, the Minnesota Timberwolves, and the New York Knicks. I do expect potentially some wild card teams to get in the mix as well, because listen, this is Kevin Durant.
So just to recap, Shams Charania reports that KD and the Suns are sorting through trade options, with several top teams emerging in the mix. That includes the Houston Rockets, the Miami Heat, the Minnesota Timberwolves, the New York Knicks, and of course our San Antonio Spurs. That's right, and to clarify, Knicks' interest is murky. Some outlets say they're involved, others suggest they're not pushing hard, but teams like Houston, Miami, Minnesota, and especially the Spurs are reportedly deep in these discussions. There's some key financials to note. Durant is entering the final year of his contract at $54.7 million for the 2025-26 season, and once traded, he becomes eligible for a 2-year extension up to $112 million, possibly $124 million if that re-signing is delayed past 6 months. And remember, KD is going to be 37 when the season starts, but man, he is still killing it. The dude is averaging 26.6 points per game, 6 rebounds, 4 assists on stellar shooting splits. I think we talked about this last video where he's shooting over 50% from the field, over 43% from three-point line, and something like 86% from the free throw line. So again, stellar shooting splits. So who's the front runner? Betting odds actually have the Spurs leading at around minus 160. And for us, mathematically challenged people like myself, that's a 62% chance that we land KD. Then the other odds go to Houston and New York. So the Spurs could be an ideal short-term landing spot to pair KD with Wemby. Of course, I've mentioned in the past, KD is Wemby's favorite player. They talked about each other in the past, and how they admire each other's game. When, the Olympic game happened, Wemby was, visibly taking that hard. And the first player he went up to was KD. So, they embraced each other, had a moment. So, again, it's Victor's favorite player. Other contenders, the Rockets, man. I'm nervous about the Rockets because if we don't get it, I think that's the favorite. And they also have a lot of young talent, youth, assets. I think they have the number 10 pick, if I'm not mistaken, also. I've heard kind of packages where it's Dylan Brooks, Cam Whitmore, Reed Shepherd, and a couple of picks. And, I don't know if the Spurs can contend with that. I would hope that we could. I need somewhere in this negotiations. I've mentioned this about Giannis before, but if KD can come out and say his preferred landing spot is here, I think Phoenix will they won't fold. They're still going to ask for some stuff, but they'll maybe bend at what they ask for. So I'm hoping that, KD can come out and say he prefer to be with the Spurs over the Rockets. It would hurt to see KD 4 times a year in Houston. That's for sure. I don't see really the Knicks or the Heat having the assets or players that the Suns would be interested in. But, I mean, anything can happen, I guess. The bottom line, guys, is that KD could be traded at any time between now and the 25th, which is draft day. So, again, Rich Kleiman, his business partners, working the phones, and those are the 5 teams deeply engaged. But it seems to be the Spurs and Rockets who are leading the pack in there. So, again, I think we mentioned it in our last video, but if we can somehow get away with Harrison Barnes, Devin Vassell, the 14th pick, and maybe some draft assets, second rounders, I would love to make this deal. Ideally, you want to hold on to Keldon and Jeremy. I think that makes sense. Keldon's already off the bench presence. He comes in with that fiery energy. And then if you have that defensive juggernaut that Jeremy brings every game, his tenacity, that makes us deep and scary. You can, with Harper, Fox, and Castle, you stagger their minutes, right? So say they start the first 6 minutes, you sit De'Aaron down, then Steph or Harper take over the point guard roles, and then one of them sits down, De'Aaron Fox comes back in. Who knows, maybe if we get KD, maybe Chris Paul does want to sign another year. You have Chris Paul able to come off the bench, so that way you're not losing so much of that, floor leadership, floor general, if you will. Last year, we struggled a lot when these guys would sit, our starters would sit, our bench would come in and just, they wouldn't have the punch to keep up with these teams. So we'd get down big, then we'd fight to get back in the game. But again, we would get tired. Wemby was dealing with the thrombosis, and he was winded, visibly winded all year last year. So the minutes that he was playing super hard, getting tired. And now we know why, because of that, thing that he had in his shoulder. So hopefully if all that works, we can maintain a deep bench. Guys, I think we're really, really scary, and we can seriously contend. So drop your predictions below. Who do you think lands KD? I don't want the Rockets to do that, because, again, we have to see that team 4 times a year. I would love for him to be paired with Vic and these young guys, man. I think, again, he puts us in immediate contention without having to break the bank. I mentioned this again previously, but by the time KD, is set to retire 2 or 3 years, Vic is still young. Steph is still very young. Harper, you have 2 or 3 years of developing with KD, Wemby, Castle. De'Aaron Fox is only 30 and in his prime probably. I mean, the Spurs will be established. You get in the playoffs next year, you get that experience, and we just keep going from there. The sky's the limit for this team, so I'm excited. Let me know your thoughts. Are you willing to do this for KD? If not, you think we should stand pat, stay young, go that Thunder route where you just draft assets, build, let them grow together? But I think you have to make this deal if the opportunity becomes available. Let me know your thoughts. Drop a comment below. Again, hit subscribe if you're new. Appreciate the support. I'm going to keep bringing them at you. You know how we do this thing. It's peace, it's love, and it's Go Spurs Go.